Hello dear students, this is Sushma Singh and you are watching Booster Classes. Today we are diving into the humorous yet deeply satirical world of Vikram Seth's The Tale of Melon City. Now this poem is a brilliant critique of arbitrary governance and the absurdity of blind tradition. Let's explore how a city ended up being ruled by a melon. Before moving to the in-depth explanation of this poem, let me tell you about its style. This is a narrative poem where the story unfolds through couplets, that is pairs of rhyming lines, giving it a rhythmic story-like feel. And as for the tone, it is sarcastic, critical and humorous. Vikram Seth uses humor to make a very serious critique of how people in power and the citizens themselves behave. The protagonist of this poem is a king who has been described as just and placid. He orders an arch to be built as a symbol of his triumph and to edify his spectators. However, the irony begins immediately when his own crown is knocked off by the low arch. His placid face quickly turns to a frown of anger, and he views this incident not as a mistake but as a disgrace and a loss of royal authority, leading him to immediately order a hanging. Now, this shows how quickly his justice turns into an irrational as well as impulsive reaction. What follows is a comical and frustrating cycle of blame shifting. The king blames the builders blame the masons blame the architect. Finally, the architect cleverly reminds the king that it was he who made amendments to the original plans. Now, this sequence highlights a total lack of accountability. In the face of danger, everyone looks for a scapegoat rather than taking responsibility for their own actions. Now, confused by the architect's logic, the indecisive king calls for the wisest man in the country. In this society, as we know, wisdom is wrongly equated with age. They bring a man so old he can neither walk nor see. So, what can be his wise advice? Look at the wise advice given by this person. He said that to hang the ark itself, because the ark was the one that hit the king's head. This highlights the irony of relying on someone physically frail rather than logical thinking for crucial state decision. The story takes a dark turn when the crowd grows restless for hanging. And to pacify the mob, the king orders that whoever fits the high set noose will be executed. Ironically, only the king is tall enough to fit the noose. The ministers feel relief at finding someone to hang, even if it is their own king. Now, this is a satire. How maintaining a superficial sense of order and pleasing the crowd often takes priority over true justice or loyalty. Now, with the king gone, the city follows another very absurd tradition. The first person to pass the city gate will choose the next king. And that person happens to be an idiot who loves melons. So he names a melon as the new king. And even the citizens passively accept this because melon doesn't interfere with their lives. Now, the choice of a melon as a king symbolizes the total absurdity of a leadership selection in a society that values tradition over competence. The poem concludes with the principle of laissez-faire, or the policy of non-interference in government. The people of this city are indifferent to the nature of their ruler as long as they are left in peace and personal freedom. The poet uses this to highlight how political ignorance and the passive attitude among citizens can lead to irrational political system or government. Ultimately, the poem teaches us that effective leadership requires wisdom, accountability, and sound judgment. It warns us against arbitrary decisions and blind adherence to tradition, suggesting that true governance must prioritize reason over chaos for the well being of society. Finally, look at the irony and humor used by the poet. In this poem, you can find all the examples of irony and humor on the slides. So kindly go through heedfully so that you can identify the irony and the humor. I hope these in-depth explanations help you prepare effectively for your exams. Thank you for sticking with me. Your support truly is the driving force for this channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more consistent updates coming your way. Good luck with your studies.